Hello again, it's part 2 today. We've got the bike naked and I'm now going to start taking things off the bike. Yeah, so it's basically a continuation of the strip down now, where all the easy bits that come off will come off. So yeah, let's see how far we get in the next half an hour or so. So, as always, put my gloves on and after the intro, we'll crack on. So where did we start? Well, we've got everything off the bike and there isn't any particular order that we're going to go on. I'm just going to start from the back and work to the front, to be honest. Get as far as getting everything off except for the engine and forks maybe. So right, so let's crack on. Let's start with the rear light. Here we go, my favorite tool. So a loom connector, so you can take that off. Oh, look at that, that's clever, isn't it? You have 2 bulbs in your rear light. Each bulb has its own wire. Here's the plug, and somebody has put the indicator wires through it. So, but luckily the indicator wires are all on bullet connectors. You just pull them off, and then you've got the light in your hand and put the screws into it so you don't lose those. I'm sure that wasn't standard. We can start with removing that, but I'm going to take the pack strap brackets off first. So brackets off, 10mm. I'm going to remove the rear mudguard now I can get to it. It's in 2 parts, the rear half up to here and the front half there. CDI. 12-volt rectifier regulator. The starter relay. Then you've got the junction box. There are also 3 relays inside here. One of them is the starter relay. There we go, I can still get to them. Yeah, we can wiggle this out here. There we go. And part 2. Alright, so the next part now is Airbox. There's 2 screws normally on the side that hold this in as well, but they seem to have died long ago. Let's just take the retaining clips off the boots, the rubbers from the carb boots. There we go. And now you can check to see what your rubbers are like. These are nice and soft. Quite like these. They'll be getting used again. So next thing I want to do now is take the carbs off. Now to get the carbs off, I'm going to have to release all the throttle cables. I'll start with the choke one, it's the easiest one first. Just a case of pulling it back, over and out. There we go, so that was away. Now I will, oh, these are actually new throttle cables by the looks of things, and I will now put, they've been adjusted, but I'm going to lengthen the cable, so I've got a lot of slack on these. Now usually to get these off, if you don't have enough slack, you have to take the throttle apart to get the cables out, so we'll see. Let me just throttle. Once you have opened this right hand switch unit, you have access to the throttle cables. You can just unhook them. You have two throttle cables, one's a puller, one's a pusher. And take the carbs out and then take the cables off. Alright, I've loosened up the boots, so I should just be able to pop these off. There we go. And now I'll take this off here. One of them. There we go. Carbs out. I can actually remove the throttle cables now. Throttle cable working more on the back. Now I'm going to remove the foot pegs. Oh, they're feeling a bit tired. So, now, if you are going to keep these, then you don't need to do anything other than clean them up, put them back on. But if you are going to use others or swap them over, whatever, then you should be aware that your helmet lock is on here, and to get it off the footrest you do need the key, because the screw is underneath the lock. You need to open the lock. There you go, open the lock, then you can get a screwdriver in there and unscrew the lock off the footrest. You have to be very careful, these screws are extremely soft. Oh, I had to do a cut there because I had trouble getting the screw out. And why? Because somebody had Loctited it in. So what's happened? The screw's gone round, even using the right screwdriver. But the main thing is I got it out, because it's how you get your locks off. So that's one lock off. Now this side, in this case, is also holding the exhaust pipe on. Normally on that side it would have been as well if it was a standard 4-in-2 exhaust pipe, but it's a 4-in-1. So now the helmet lock's missing off this side, and somebody had a problem getting out because the screw is still in there. So if you want to use this one again, you're going to have to drill that screw out. The chain guard off. One. Oh, that's loose. Good Lord. I'll see if I can split the exhaust pipe off first, give myself a bit of space. So what do I need here? Oh, lots of wiggling and pulling. Yeah, it's been on for a while. Whew. And there's the end piece. There we go. Middle piece. Whew. But the thing with the headers is that they're behind the water cooler, so now is the time. There's no way around it. I'm going to have to drain the coolant system. Yeah, I like to go from the water pump. There's an 8mm bolt. It's like a drain bolt here. Just watch out because it's going to spurt out. To make things easier, take the radiator cap off. Then you won't get like a vacuum in there, and it will all come glugging out. Just watch out with your bucket because it will spurt. Try not to drop the screw. Oh, here we go. This actually looks like pure water. Doesn't look like anyone's put anything in it. Oh, now all the muck's coming out. Put the bolt back in. Now I'm going to release this lower pipe to get the rest out. Just a good old garden hose pipe clamp. Cool. This pipe feels like plastic. It was rubber. Oh, that's grotty. That's grotty. Oh my god. Listen to this. I'll put the microphone near it. Hold on. Listen. What is that? Do you know the whole pipe's rusted up? That's not healthy, is it? Cool, blimey, governor. So the water cooler is held on by this big bracket here in the middle, which also holds the water cooler and the oil cooler. So I have to undo the cooler bolts and all the bracket bolts before we can take it out. Just have to get on my backside for this one to loosen all these nuts off, all these bolts. Separated. This sits like here. The water cooler sits with a thorn up here. The oil cooler sits there. Sort of all stuck together. But once you've got this out, you can take them all apart. So the oil cooler has the water cooler has a fan on it, and the fan has this covering on it. And I need to take the fan cover off so that I can expose. Yeah, because I can't take it out otherwise, because this won't come through the frame. But again, it's two 10mm bolts, just a bit awkward to get to. Actually, just to make things a bit easier for myself, take this little bracket off here first. It's sort of getting me in the way a bit. This is the top bracket which holds the tank mounts, but if I remember rightly, on the underside is the bracket for the flasher relay. Yeah, it just pulls through. So just to show you what that was, got the bracket on the top with the rubber mounts for the petrol tank, and this is on the underside, which goes through the frame. It clamps between the frame, and on this side is where your flasher relay is, your indicator relay. That's where you find that. So let's put that there. So now I can get to the 10mm bolts holding this fan cover on. There we go. So this is the cover I mean. This is the piece I was taking off. 2 bolts holding it onto the top of the fan assembly. If you can't get that off, you won't get the fan out. Now I just need to release the hose on the other side. I'm going to release this one here. Unplug the temperature sensor for the fan. There's no more crap coming out of here. And out you come. There you go. Radiator. The oil cooler, I'm going to leave that on because I can get the headers off with the oil cooler in position. The headers are held in place by 10mm nuts that are on the stud nuts, and they should be loose, they shouldn't be on tight, and hopefully they're not rusted away so that they don't break off the studs. This is lovely. So now I've released it from the engine. I've just got to get it past the oil cooler. These collets are not exactly round. What happens is they go on only in one direction. There you go, like that. And then when you've turned them, they don't come back off again. And then you come off in one direction. There you go, like that. Now you can get to the horns, which are in even a more stupid place than anything on this bike. Behind the oil cooler, between the engine and the frame, and there's a mounting bracket. It's only accessible once everything's been removed. So if your horns blow, you're not getting them off unless you take everything out. There we go. So, horn off. So now, let's go for the coils. Get them out. Pair of coils. Then we have the coil brackets. So, coil brackets. Now, let's look at this loom situation. Okay, let's take a bit more of the cooling system out. There we go. So, should be able to get this off now in one piece. Let's go out that way. There we go. Thermostat, housing, temperature sensor for the temperature gauge. And we're getting closer. Let's get this main loom off. We've got a whole load of these plastic clip, reusable clip things. Just take a bit of effort to open them a little bit. There are a couple of tie wraps on here though. Get that off. That's the horn. Just unplug the left hand switch unit. There we go. So that is pretty much the whole of the rear loom. The main loom. It's just attached to a couple of spaces on the alternator and stuff. So let's get this off here. So now it's the main plug, 2 plugs for the cockpit unit. That's that. That's off there. What's that all about? Okay, so that's the clutch. Here is the, let's cut that off as well. So next thing to come off is the cockpit, the tacho unit. Oh, another bit of wiring here. This is like a sub-loom for the indicators, I believe. Yeah, indicators. Ah, now look at that. Yeah, I wonder if you can see that. This is the plug for the main headlight. You might remember me getting that off in the last video. It was a bit tight. Oh, there you go. Completely melted away. It's too hot. Might be time to look for an alternative. And we're free. Oh, there's like a 12 on that side. Oh. So off you come. There you go. Now this has been, I've been wondering about this since I saw it. Somebody's put some sort of rubber clamp on here. I need to take off the end weights. So, bar end. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to take the side stand off. So there we go. Let's just pull the I have to take this cover off first. But I do have to remove that first because it's in the way. I won't be able to get the cover off. There we go. That's that off. So there we go. Not too bad. So now I can start taking the rest of the loom off because a lot of it was connected under here. I just broke that. Nope. Was lucky. Was lucky. So block the wheel. Undo the front sprocket. They're not on super tight, don't have to be. That comes off. Out you come. And put them back together. So next thing is now break the rear wheel out. Then it's a 24 look. Do with a spanner. To take out the rear wheel, undo the rear axle bolt, give the wheel a little bit of a support, knock the bolt through, lift up the brake system, and then I can just pull the wheel out, theoretically. I like to drive it through with a soft hammer and a mallet. Soft hammer and a mallet, soft hammer and an old drive extension. Just give it a bit of support. pull the axle out, wheel drops, lift up the brake, and the rear wheel just pops out. Watch out for all your spacers. The best thing is to put the axle back in immediately so you don't lose anything. So now I'd like to have the swing arm out, which is connected, well, the brake's connected to the swing arm. I can leave that on there, but I need to take the footrest on the right hand side off as well, because that's where the brake pedals connect. It's all connected a bit. I could split it down, but I'm going to leave it together. Well, I don't know, I might take it off, just see what happens. I'm just going to keep going, working my way through. Leave that bolt with that. That's it, the brake off. So I've got the rear brake here as a complete unit now. I don't have to split it and drop all the oil and make a mess and all that sort of stuff. Let's put that somewhere safe. So now I've got to split the suspension off the rear swing arm so that I can take the swing arm out and the suspension at the same time. The swing arm and the rear shock. Getting caught on bits and pieces now. So, what size is all this? When you've got an extension on, it seems to be a bit wobbly and you'd be quick rounding the bolts off. So there we go. So one suspension unit. Now we've already taken out the bolt, so the swing arm. We're taking the nut off, sorry, the swing arm bolt should just pop straight through. Like that. No force, just pull it out. And away it comes. There you go. Swing arm, side caps. Put the bolt straight back in. Actually, it's the other way around, isn't it? No, it came out that way. There we go. And the right bolt on, and the nut. One new chain, and it is a new chain, so I'm not going to wreck this one. Right, next is the front brakes. Get the front brakes off. And then I will be leaving it at that for now, because if I take the rest off, the forks and everything, then I'm going to have nowhere to, well, I need to think about how I'm going to support this all when I've taken it all apart. Go on, you can do it, you're nearly there. Go on, son. Here we go. Cable off. So the lever. Just unhook the cable. That would make sense, wouldn't it? But the lock nuts. There we go. The lock nut had was rusted on, so I couldn't get it off enough to get it off the bracket. What next? Well, I think, to be honest, that is pretty much that for today. So I'm going to leave it in that state. Ah, come on, we'll take that off and then we're finished for today. So, cover off. That was a bit tight. It just slips on, this does. Just like that, cover. And now let's see, it's 10 mil, holding the lock on. Let's take that off there. Put the bolt back in. Then it's a starting to lose my tools now, need to tidy up a bit. Allen key to take that off. Oh no, wrong size. Take this off, one on each side. And this is all the seat lock bits and pieces. So there we have it. Up until this stage here, this is part 2 of the strip down. Part 3 will be basically taking the engine out of the frame, because I need the frame bare so it can be painted. So next part will be engine out the frame, get the frame completely bared out so that it can get ready for, so that I can start thinking about what to do with it, paint it or powder coat it, not too sure. So it'll be engine out and forks off. I'll be leaving the whole front fork assembly as it is for now. Don't like ripping things apart if I don't need to. And yeah, so basically forks off, engine out, then I'll have the frame, and then we can take the frame from there. So again, wasn't much explaining, it's just basically just watching me take it apart. So I know some of you like watching things like that, like I do as well. So any questions, just let me know. And yeah, thanks for listening to my waffle.